Hey everyone, and welcome to Already Cancelled. I am Peter, and joining me as always is Tara, and we are going to talk about the Twilight Zone Season 3, Episode 1. It's called 2. So, full spoilers for the episode as always. This one is set in a post-apocalyptic world. I mean, it's basically just Earth, although Rod Serling kind of specifically goes out of his way at the start to imply that it's not really Earth, it's just... everything's in English just so we can understand it. But it's somewhere. It's somewhere in the Twilight Zone. Don't worry about it. And it's basically post-apocalyptic, quiet. It's almost very kind of similar to the very first episode. Whereas we have this woman who walks into the city, starts looking around, she's on her own, eventually runs into a man, and they seem to be from opposing forces in a war that ended some time ago. And ultimately, they might, you know, not trust each other, but in the end, perhaps a friendship might kindle out of this. Maybe even, dare I say, an affair. A love affair. A saucy love affair.
Dare you say?
Yes.
You dared to say it.
I dared, because I dare to defy. Don't sue me, CW. Alright, that's the gist of the episode. So it's kind of a, you know, person alone in the apocalypse, post-apocalypse, but with two people kind of finding each other. But notably, I think the most interesting part though is that they're both from the opposite sides of the conflict that seemingly killed everything. Rod Serling does mention at the start that it's been 5 years since anyone was in this city. You know, this was completely without anyone for a long time.
The urban jungle.
Yeah. Which does raise some questions, like there's like almost no like growth in the streets. It doesn't look like it's been 6 years since anyone was here.
When you first see it, the shot is of like some forested area, and he says like the jungle, proof of like humanity's abandonment of an area or whatever, and it's like a street sign that's overgrown. But then we just get like the universal backlot just destroyed.
Because they go into one they go into a barbershop at one point with some cobwebs, and I'm like, it's been 6 years. I feel like even this isn't enough. There should be cobwebs everywhere. There should be foliage everywhere. There should be everything everywhere.
She kills like a plastic spider.
Yes, and I question how well some of this food has kept for 6 years as well. Because I'm pretty sure that was chicken. It was canned chicken. Which, by the way, canned chicken.
You wouldn't eat canned chicken? In a post-apocalyptic world?
I mean, if I was starving in a post-apocalyptic world, I probably would give it a go, but...
with bones and all? That's disgusting.
Canned chicken. I've never encountered canned chicken. Oh, so weird. And I assume
you get canned chicken here, but it's more like... it looks more like tuna fish when you open it up.
Yeah,
there's no like bones in it.
Yeah, this is literally chicken drumsticks. In a can, which also pre-cooked in the can, because he just starts eating it. And I mean, I would like to think that he knows not to eat raw chicken, especially raw chicken that's been sitting in a can for 6. I mean, I know it's sealed, but it doesn't matter.
They're desperate.
6 years. Because later on, he's got a jar of something else. It's hard to tell in the black and white, but he had a jar of like I don't know if it was like
pears.
Yeah, it was like fruit, and I'm like, really, the fruit kept okay for 6 years.
Canned fruit. Probably.
It was a jar of fruit, though. I mean, maybe.
Yeah, like
sealed.
Yeah, it's a jar of fruit, but it's still like the canning process of storing food.
Okay. All right. Maybe it's just a best before and not a use by. Maybe, it won't taste as nice, but it'll still give you some sustenance. So I don't know why I'm doing all the nitpicks at the start. I feel like this is a really weird negative way to start this off. Tara, what did you think of 2?
It's alright. I wanted to like it. It's just it doesn't have enough supernatural stuff for me. Maybe. I don't know. It's okay.
I was expecting that to be the. I liked it. I do think it could have went a bit further with some of its ideas. What's interesting is that the ad break doesn't happen until at the 16-minute mark of the 25-minute episode. It's quite a late ad break. And when it came back from the ad break, I was kind of annoyed at it because it ends in this cliffhanger where they both find guns and they sort of point them at each other, and then after the ad break, they just kind of it's over in like a second, and they stop trying to shoot each other. That'd take a whole lot.
Sorry.
Bless you, Tara.
For I have sinned.
So
it was pretty cool to see young Charles Bronson, though.
that is interesting. It's one of those things where, even though we said last time that he was going to be in this episode, I'd forgotten that. And when he walked out of the scene, I was like, he looks familiar. Because obviously, I mean, I know Charles Bronson more from his later stuff where he looks a bit older. So, you know.
Well, I mean, was he in The Great Escape? That wasn't that long after.
Yeah. There's a good chance when I watched that, though, I didn't know who he was. So I didn't have a memory of him in it.
Yeah, Elizabeth Montgomery is also a famous actress for the TV series Bewitched, but I don't really have a lot of experience with that show.
Yeah, I've never seen it myself.
But it's just the two of them, both super young.
Yeah, I actually thought they were going to have the episode go entirely without dialogue, because we start with her and she's sort of looking around, she's looking for food, and he eventually saunters in and they end up fighting as soon as they see each other, because they're both in some kind of uniform, right? His is a bit more recognizable, but even hers looks like a uniform. There's like I mean, it's a uniform with a skirt in it, but it clearly has some sort of design. And we get just from contextual tidbits like the newspaper he looks at, the propaganda later on from the recruitment office, that there was literally a war between two sides, and they're wearing completely different outfits, so these are people from either side. He eventually speaks, though. He's the first one to say something when she wakes up, after he has some of that canned chicken that we were discussing so in depth before. He's enjoying it, though. He's really into that canned chicken. You can tell he's been looking for some food. But he basically has this thing where he leaves her be when she's knocked out. He sees some of the newspapers about the invaders and all the rest of it, and he decides to go back.
Because well, he keeps looking at other things too. Like he sees, he keeps getting reminded of women everywhere he goes. Like there's like a mannequin in a dress. He goes and he sees a movie poster, and it's like a man and a woman embracing. And then he decides to go back.
Do you think he? Do you think he saw these things and went, "Wait a minute, that was a woman! Oh no, turn around, turn around!" No, well, yeah, no, he does all those things, but I think when he looks at the newspaper, I think there's kind of a part of him that kind of, that's the moment where he kind of like realizes that there's no reason to keep the fight. Like there's no reason to like have these two sides anymore. Because that's kind of what he says to her when she's waking up, is that there's no point anymore. There's no point in like being loyal to either side that we were on. I'm not a soldier anymore. Because the fight doesn't exist. So he tries to, you know, let her have some of the chicken, and it's kind of this act of humanity. And she is like, she's got her big knife that she's got in her outfit, and she keeps pulling it out, and she's like staring at him, and she's ready to swipe at any moment. But she follows him because she wants to know what he's doing next, because you know she can't turn her back on him, right? Yeah. She has to keep an eye. He just goes into the barber's so he can have a shave, which, by the way, he didn't look like he needed a shave in the first place. He was like so clean shaven. But he shaves, and he tosses her some soap, which, Joe's funny, is that I think this episode reads fine on the way it's intended, but I feel like you can almost read into things or look at it from an alternate viewpoint a little bit and get really cynical with it, where he's like, because he gives her some soap thinking that she'll want to clean up, like that she's not been able to do this in a while, here you can do this kind of thing. But you can also go, oh, that's a bit of a dick move. It's like, hey, you're not clean your face for me, I demand pretty.
I think it's I never took it as that kind of a reading. I mean, although he does compliment her when she's done with it, but like
I didn't read that way in the time. I'm only kind of doing that retroactively because a couple of scenes later he goes up to a mannequin, steals a dress, and says, "Hey, put this on."
Yeah, okay. I think it's more of just like soap is a luxury, clean water is a luxury. We're in this area, I mean, like here. This is a gift, like a gift of, I want to say friendship, but like, you know, arms down. We'll just for the time being. That
is definitely the intent, and I'm being cynical and joking about it because I'm like, it's easy to kind of skew this and make it to be a bit of a dick move.
I did look up the Charles Bronson because he was in the Magnificent Seven, and that was 1960 technically.
Oh, there you go. There you go. No, because I think the whole idea here is that he goes across the street, he breaks the window, he gives her this dress. And it's very easy to kind of maybe at front face value kind of go, wait, you want her to dress up for you? Like, this is very forward and
they're
all
both
these
just
things.
looking at it, and then she says it's pretty. I mean, she says it in Russian, even though it's not on Earth. But she says it in Russian, and so he gets it for her.
Yeah, I think because he's not changed his clothes yet, but when at the end of the episode when she goes to find him again, he's changed his clothes, and I think the idea that even though he's not literally done it yet, he's already like made the choice that he's not in the fight, that he's not a soldier, that it's all over. And I think him giving her this dress is him trying to say, hey, you don't need that uniform anymore. This is over.
Yeah.
We're different people now. We're civilians, as he puts it later on.
Yeah.
But she basically gets angry at him when he says to go get changed, and it's mainly because it just happens to be like a recruitment office for the army, and she starts looking at all the propaganda on the walls, and it's like she's reminded of the fight. She's reminded of how they were villainized and all
what she's there for. Yeah,
all this propaganda.
Because he calls her the invader also.
Yes, I noted that. I didn't actually realize it was Russian because it was only one word, so I didn't hear enough of it to like. I knew it was a different language, but for all I knew, it was. I mean, it makes sense it was Russian because of the time this was made. Obviously, it would be Russian.
I only know because it's the first thing listed in the trivia.
So you cheated, is what you're saying?
What do you mean I cheated? This is the only thing I do here.
No, but I assumed that you just knew that. I was giving you
I just
credit.
have I have pretty in all languages memorized.
She basically spends the night in this recruitment office, hugging her gun, being kind of terrified, and it's kind of this thing where it's cold, it's windy, she's alone, and in the morning she decides to go looking for him, and he sees her, but she's standing behind the car, so you only see her head, and he's like changed his clothes. He's like, look, take your fight elsewhere. This is a civilian sector now. Go away. And she steps out from behind the car and she's wearing the dress, and it's like
with a giant knife in her, like her belt.
Yeah, I actually kind of like that. It's probably the best visual of the whole episode is her with that dress on, but with all her weaponry still like
she still gotta survive. She just wants to, feel like a civilian, feel like the old world.
I mean, obviously, this episode there's a little bit of dialogue, of course, but it's very silent for the most part. A lot of it's this visual stuff of looking for stuff or no, because the first time, just before they find the guns, before the ad break, when she's following him after the barber shop. They go past like a movie theater, and he looks at the poster on the wall, and it's like, it's a man holding a woman, and they're kind of embracing on the poster, and he kind of turns around and looks at her, and it's kind of this moment of like, it's not such a bad idea. Like, there's no one else here. Maybe a bit of warmth and a bit of comfort and camaraderie might be a good idea. But ultimately, the story is that after the demise of everything, which side they're on doesn't matter, and they can start something new. Like, they're essentially going to form a new civilization.
Also, make love, not war. Message.
Literally, perhaps.
Right.
If this episode's going, that was actually one of maybe the darkest thing he said actually in the episode, is that when he first tries to communicate with her and it's not really getting through, he says the only way I could convince you that my intentions aren't malicious would look pretty malicious. So, and I was like, it was both kind of like very, like, it was very self-aware as well as being kind of dark at the same time.
Yeah.
And not dark in the sense that he's being dark, because he's saying that he understands that would look bad. He understands that would scare her and look menacing. But he kind of, I don't know. I guess the line was a little bit ahead of its time.
I liked it. Yeah, I noticed it too when he said it. It's like, oh, he would have to do something that looked a bit aggressive, and if she doesn't speak the language, then how else is she supposed to interpret it? He's a man that's on the other side of the war.
Plus, she's got that giant knife. What does he have? A death wish?
I hate you so much.
Come on, that was gold.
No.
That was gold, and you know it.
No. I refuse.
I like the setting. I think they did a good. I mean, as much as I was joking and nitpicking, it doesn't really look like it's been 5 years since anyone was here.
It looks like a destroyed city. It doesn't look like anything is overgrown in it or anything like that.
It looks like it's been a couple of weeks since someone was here, right? Maybe a month. That's what
I
it
guess
looks
that's
like.
just what they need to do for these opening episodes for the season. They just have to have a person basically on their own. We get 2 people in this one, but the season 2 episode 1 also had a guy on his own in the airplane, right?
Yeah, it's become a running theme for these season premieres actually. That it's always
Isolation,
someone
yeah.
in isolated. In this case, yeah, it's 2 in this case, but maybe that's the evolution, right? That's the evolution of this, is that now we have a pair of people in isolation. But yeah, no twist in this one or anything like that. It's more of a.
It's just Romeo and Juliet of somewhere else in a galaxy far, far away.
It's just 2 people, try to overcome the fact that they can't communicate and they're scared of each other to begin with, and kind of realizing that there's nothing else and they should kind of learn to be together. And if there happens to be like a blossom of a romance there, then great. Whack that on top of it. But I mean, it's a sweet message. I enjoyed the like all the stuff at the start, as much as there's not a lot to talk about, because the first like 5-10 minutes is just like wandering around and looking at stuff. Unlike episode 1 of last season, I felt like it was actually giving me a lot of information. Like everything she looked at.
Oh yeah, this is definitely better than that one.
Yeah. So I thought it was an enjoyable watch, even if it doesn't feel as unique as as the original first episode did, or
I don't recognize the writer either.
Montgomery Pittman, who also directed it.
Yeah, doesn't look like anyone that we've come across so far during these Twilight Zone watching.
Hey, new season, we get some new people on the writing staff. In fact,
Oh, it is his first one. He does 2 more.
speaking of new season, new opening title sequence, we got the spiral.
Yeah, finally we get a spiral.
Yeah, so
No more signpost up ahead though.
yeah.
There's a signpost up ahead. The Twilight Zone.
I didn't even notice that was gone. I mean, I'm one of the weird people who actually quite likes the season 1 music, even though obviously the do 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 is the famous one that everyone
Yeah, of course.
references. But hey,
I liked it too.
but hey, I think it's a solid episode, if not a spectacular one. I would say it's good.
I agree.
You agree? Okay. Okay. We're a bit more negative than that, I think, at the start, but
Well, I mean, like as far as the Twilight Zone episode goes, I'm gonna like the supernatural stuff a bit more.
okay.
But there are exceptions. I mean, the Silence didn't really have a whole lot of supernatural elements, and that was a great episode.
I mean, it makes sense because the Fever's your favorite episode, and that was very supernatural.
You shut your mouth. But yeah, I didn't hate this episode. I just thought it was all right.
Okay. All right.
It's definitely not going to make my worst list. And unless, like, there's a lot of bad episodes in season 3, it's not going to make my best list.
I mean, I can't believe you're already starting to think about what's going to make your best and worst list after episode 1.
I have to, because there's like 37 episodes this time.
Yeah, 37. It's actually one more than season 1. 37
Ugh.
episodes.
I have to keep track now. Because I won't remember this episode by the time we have to make the list.
Rod Serling did show up at the end to tell us what's coming next time, and it did sound kind of intriguing. The episode he described. It's called The Arrival. Here's the description on IMDb. Federal Aviation Investigator, the FAI for short.
Whoa.
I just made that acronym up. I don't think they use that. Grant Sheckley must deal with a mystery when a plane lands at an airport without pilots, passengers, or luggage. Ooh. I actually like the sound of this.
Ooh. This is directed by Boris Sagal. That sounds familiar.
Written by Rod Serling.
Oh, director of the Omega Man.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh. So this is a Rod Serling written episode, and he doesn't always have a banger, but this sounds good.
No, I mean, he tends to use a lot of comedy in his too.
Although, actually, I want to reveal something. I mean, I'm not revealing, the personal information that Tara's clearly made.
Oh, he's the father of Katie Seagal.
Ah.
Neither. Sorry.
Or Peggy
What are you
Bundy.
revealing about me?
I was revealing that you sent me a message as you started this episode saying, "Oof, Rod Serling could have used a second take on that intro."
Yeah, because he did something where he went like, it could be a different place, but and then he like talked about the street sign being in English, and then he went back to saying or a place. So he said place twice in it.
Okay,
and
all right.
they just went with that take instead of him doing it a second time. I remounted and watched it again. So
look, the man's a busy man. He go. If you can hear and see it, then take one's good enough. Was the attitude, I think.
Right. Plus, I haven't come across it on any of these episodes, but I heard years ago that he was a really self-conscious man about his looks and about like he had severe stage fright, which is one of the reasons he always smokes when he's on screen. But I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe I'll investigate further.
Okay. All right. Well, that's Arrival's coming up next time, and that has been 2. So let us know what you thought of the season 3 premiere in the comments below. You can get us, of course, on the Twitters at @mild_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support us, you can hit that like button. Smash it.
Smash it.
Smash the like button.
We don't want to become one of those.
No, we don't. We don't. Just
sellouts.
Annihilate that like button. Like the aliens did the White House on Independence Day. There you go. That's our version. Tara, why don't you tell the kind people about Patreon?
Yes. Speaking of sellouts, please check out our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/MildFuzzTV. And if you donate as low as $1 per month, you will get bonus episodes of other shows we do here, including our science fiction movie review show, The Atomic Cinema Experiment. And if you donate $5 per month, you will get access to the Twilight Zone reviews 1 week early. So fun. Be ahead of the game. Thank you.
There you go. So that's us. Thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. And we'll see you next time. So keep watching TV in the Twilight Zone.